Welcome to Braindrop by vCom Solutions. Every episode, we talk to IT leaders and experts, explore recent projects, and learn from their triumphs and challenges. We hope today's episode provides you with a unique window into the world of IT, where creativity meets problem solving and technology drives businesses forward. I'm your host, Jethro Castillo. Let's drop into today's conversation. Today on Braindrop by vCom Solutions, I am joined by Rob Zelinka, the Chief Information Officer at Jack Henry and Associates, a fintech company that uses technology and services to help financial institutions innovate and solve problems to better serve their people. Rob Zelinka has served as the CIO of Jack Henry for almost 6 years and brings with him over 30 years of experience in IT. Rob is known for his strong leadership and ability to transform IT teams and accomplish effective technology initiatives. We're so happy to have him on Braindrop. Rob, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Jethro. It's an honor to be with you.
The honor is mine. So let's jump into the questions. Can you tell us a little bit about your IT team and environment?
Sure. Jack Henry is a technology company. And as such, I manage a part of the technology company for Jack Henry. And the part that I manage is focused in a couple of different areas. So the first area is running the business of Jack Henry. So as you might imagine, there are no shortage of platforms, tools, frameworks that we use to drive outcomes for our customers. In addition, we also manage and operate data centers, cloud environments, co-location facilities that we both consume from a Jack Henry perspective, but also provide to our customers. And then the third area is to be a good partner with the extended corporate function. So that corporate function is made up of members of the Office of the CIO, which I'm the chairperson for, members of the Office of the CTO, which is the Chief Technology Officer. He's my peer. He's primarily focused on our technology strategy that is external facing in our products. And then, of course, another key component of that corporate function is the Office of the Chief Information Security Officer, which is focused not just on the traditional security or cybersecurity realm, but also ties in some governance and regulatory focus. So between those three offices, we make up what we largely consider the corporate function for Jack Henry.
Sure. And so how many team members does your team have? And when you're talking about those three offices, how many employees rely on this team?
Yeah. So my organization has evolved over the years. It's been as high as 1,000 and it's been as low as 300. And the reason why there's such a dramatic shift is we are in the midst of what I call right sizing the group that I'm responsible for to make sure that we're focused on the things that are materially mattering to our company, to our customer, to our community, and to make sure that we're not distracted by things that, while they might be important, might be better served under some other leader within the company. Collectively, we have 300 people plus or minus right now focused on those functions that I articulated earlier. And collectively, we support over 7,000 associates at Jack Henry.
You were talking about right sizing, changing, evolving. Technology does that, and it does that quickly. So how do you kind of learn, grow, and keep up to date with all the changes that are happening?
Yeah. So the pace of change has never been faster than it is today. And oddly enough, it will never be slower than it is today either. So tomorrow it'll be even faster. So imagine being on a treadmill and the speed keeps increasing and a grade or a hill that you're climbing keeps increasing. So the way I do it is simply through people. So I meet people like you, people who work at Jack Henry, in my business unit, in other parts of Jack Henry, our third parties that help support our mission. I learned through reading, through listening to podcasts, and I learned through failure. That failure is a real humbling teacher, and you have to be comfortable with failure because it's through failure that you learn. It's through learning that you grow, and so, a lot of really sharp technical companies, technology companies have fostered a concept of fail fast. I'm a firm believer in failing fast and learning from it and moving on and not harboring energy towards it. because you're not going to fix the past, but the past is going to help you to drive your future, your present, and your future ultimately.
This is going to be a funny question because you said that tomorrow IT is going to look different, technology is going to look different. But what are your thoughts on the current state of IT right now? What are the game changers? What are the challenges? What are the hot issues, especially in fintech?
Yeah, sure. My answer might be surprising to you. I'm going to go out here and tell you that the real true game changer for any company. So I think we're all a technology company. And I alluded to this a little earlier when we were talking. That every company, no matter what industry they're in, is a technology company. There are some companies that have absolutely understood and embraced that, and there are others that are resisting it because they're comfortable with being in a specific industry. That could be retail, it could be manufacturing and automobile, but make no mistake, technology is at the center of what we do. And from my vantage point, technology enables and improves a user experience. It doesn't replace a user experience. So the game changer for me has been and will always continue to be people. I want to invest in people because people are the nucleus of what embodies the culture of your company. They are what differentiates you in a marketplace with your customers. And at the end of the day, how many times do you see technology fail and you just want to speak to a human? Because a human has understanding, a human has empathy. So those humans are game changers. Now, the challenges are also with humans. How do we enable them to continue to learn? How do we enable them to be comfortable with failing, to be comfortable with disrupting themselves, to changing or departing from the way we've always done it, which is very successful, which has helped us to drive outcomes. We do so with courage and commitment. So those challenges remain. And of course, as of late, I think we all recognize how AI and machine learning are on our doorstep and they are disruptive technologies. There's a narrative out there that those technologies will replace humans. And I think there's a possibility for that, but it's not just to wholesale replace the human, it's to augment the human in a way that helps the human to focus on things that are materially more valuable, but also to give them more cycles and bandwidth to address things that they just don't have the time to address. Now, the bigger challenge in large language models is governance, making sure that there's rails for this technology to truly drive meaningful and positive outcomes versus the technology being used for nefarious outcomes. And let's face it, where there's good people in this world, there's also some bad people or less than good people in the world. And so that's where the governance and the rails come into play.
Yeah. And maybe your answer to this one is going to be very similar. But let's go like specifically into your company as, CIO. Is there anything that keeps you up at night? Are there any challenges that you experience?
This also may come as a surprise to you. There's not much that keeps me up at night. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have challenges. That doesn't mean we collectively aren't challenged. Sure, we are. I think the things that I'm focused on are how do I continue to ensure that we are relevant in the marketplace, in the industry? How do I ensure that we're differentiating ourselves in the marketplace through people, through process, through technology? I want to ensure that we're built to scale, we're built to grow. The problems we're solving today may or may not be the problems that we're looking to solve tomorrow. So we have to have some agility in place so that way the decisions that we've made for today, which are likely the best decision to make, won't materially affect our ability to drive different decisions tomorrow. So you really have to be prepared to go left when you have to go left. But when you're prepared to go left and somehow there's a roadblock that prevents you to go left from going left, you can course correct and go right and still get to where you need to be.
Let's talk about one of those problems that you've solved. Tell us a little bit about a recent IT project your team completed. What was the reason for taking it on? What problem were you trying to solve? And what were the goals for this project?
So let me start with, I don't look at projects as IT projects. I look at them as business projects. And so the first step that I had to take was to ensure that my people understood that we're not operating in a silo. We don't have a separate strategy from that of the company. And also we're not subservient to the rest of the company. So we have an enterprise portfolio. There's a top list of projects and initiatives that we view as strategically important to the company, to our customer. And so we invest in those. One of those projects that we championed, that I was the executive sponsor for, was the creation of a robust enterprise service management office. And that the reason why that was strategically important to us was we were, like many companies, struggling to manage the sprawling assets, technology assets, so hardware, software, version controls. And we were doing it like most companies do, a lot of manual process, well-intended, hardworking individuals. But we recognized really quickly that that approach is not sustainable in the long term, especially as you grow. Jack Henry has grown significantly over the years through acquisition and a lot of organic growth. And so we recognize the need to have a robust platform to manage services that we deliver from. We needed a strong platform that would allow us to pass the rigors of exams and audits, both internal exams and audits, but also because we're in a regulated space, we needed to ensure that we had that platform to give the visibility that was necessary there. But we also needed to ensure that we had the right people that had knowledge, skills, experience in these platforms, that had created this framework, this platform, in the past, and could help to educate our people and develop our people going forward. And then, of course, the last component of that is you have to be mindful of the fact that you may not be everything to everyone, and you might be lacking certain skill sets and knowledge bases and experience levels. And so it's okay to go out and find the right strategic partner to help you along the way. So we successfully, about a year ago at this time, funded and supported an initiative to create an enterprise service management office. We found the right strategic partner. That partner was ServiceNow. And then, of course, we brought in an integration partner. That partner was Maryville. And we successfully charted a course where we announced a timeline, a roadmap to go from basically purchasing the product to delivering what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product. And we successfully delivered that in April of this past year. And it's kind of interesting, Jethro. Here we were the night before a go live of a significant platform. And we were all sitting around at a local pizza place, enjoying pizza, telling jokes, drinking beer and soda. And the person that is the program leader said to me, Rob, this is the most unusual night before a go live I think I've experienced in my career. And I said, how so, Renato? And he said, I'm used to being hair on fire. We're hurrying up, running through bugs that we've encountered, trying to fix those bugs, and there's nothing to be fixed yet. And I said, well, that's either due to a couple of factors. One, we're incredibly lucky. Two, we're incredibly smart. Three, we've hired the right partners. Or four, we're kidding ourselves, and tomorrow is going to be just a terrible day for us. And let me say that tomorrow came, and it was an extraordinary day.
Wow.
We really nailed it. And so here's the interesting thing. The way you build in a modern world today with zero code and low code platforms is that you're in a perpetual state of development. So we are now entering into phase 2 of evolving and developing more feature functionality on ServiceNow. We're excited for it. But we've climbed the first hill, and now we're going to move and climb the next hill.
Did you already envision the second hill before the first hill? Okay, so these phases have been like meticulously planned out.
Oh, absolutely, Jethro. But here's the most important thing to keep in perspective. While you can have a plan for something, that plan tends to shift and change. And that's why we are embracing what's called an Agile approach. And the benefit of Agile is to allow you to course correct at the moment you need to course correct versus the traditional waterfall approach where you just brute force get to that milestone and then you realize, hey, I just built something that isn't really what we need today. It was what we needed yesterday. So if you go back to the earlier question you asked me, and I said, one of the most important things we're focused on at the corporate level is building an environment where we have agility, business agility. If we have to go left, but we're unable to go left, we can still go right and get back to the left, to the destination that we charted. or we can take a completely different destination or path. And that's where the agility comes in. And that's where Agile is really critical for us in that methodology.
Was it a challenge to implement Agile?
So sure, because I think every company, no matter what industry they're in, suffers a little bit from the, well, this is the way we've always done it, and change is hard, and I'm comfortable doing it this way. So I think that what drives your success in driving a change initiative is that the way you go about driving change. For me, it's always human centered, meaning you have to explain what the change is. Then you have to explain why you are proposing the change. But then you have to invite people to participate meaningfully in the change versus just mandating, hey, this is the change, take it or leave it. Because if you do it that way, sure, there'll be a subset of people that will just do it because that's what's expected of them. But there will also be a subset of people that will say, you know what, this is not making any sense. And my job is no longer fun anymore. And I want to take my services elsewhere. And that last piece, having fun. So you may or may not know this. Jack Henry has three distinct um, philosophies about how we built this company. And it comes from the people that founded the company over 40 years ago. And one of those elements is just that, have fun. Life is complex enough. We have a lot going on in our lives, in our work life, and our personal lives. We want to have fun. That's really important. Now, the other two that I hadn't alluded to, which are also critically important, are doing whatever it takes. And then along the same lines of doing whatever it takes is doing the right thing. And there's a lot of times when you're doing something and it doesn't seem to be the right thing. And you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Well, Jack Henry empowers each and every one of us, no matter what our role is, no matter what our title is, to live by those three things. And so that's a duty that each of us have. And so, tying those three things to how do we drive change and embracing Agile, it's much the same way. Learning to approach our product life cycles. And it doesn't have to be a software product. It could be a hardware product. So for example, if you're an infrastructure individual, and you're used to building infrastructure in a traditional waterfall approach where you don't give access to the data center until everything's done. The servers are built, the storage is built, the network is built. It could be 18 to 24 months before you give people carte blanche access to the production environment. What if you could reduce the time and give them some part of that environment so that they could start to do work in advance? Because if you use the waterfall approach in a building of a data center, then you're waiting 12 to 18 to 24 months before they can do their build out at the application layer. And that could be another 6, 10, 12 months down the road. So now you're full 2 years down the road.
Yeah. You mentioned, with Agile, you're able to address roadblocks faster and course correct. Did you encounter that when you were designing, procuring your solution?
Sure, absolutely. By the way, I would submit to you that every project that you take on through the course of your career and in your personal life will come with some adversity, some roadblock, something that was unanticipated or unexpected. The biggest challenge I think we had was around human capital. So finding people that are experienced, knowledgeable, versed in ServiceNow or Salesforce or cloud, for instance, these people are in high demand. And as such, it's hard to recruit them. It's hard to retain them. So we lost some human capital assets along the way. We had to course correct. Our third party partners lose resources as well along the way. So you have to pivot and course correct. You make an acquisition along the way, which completely shifts or changes the dynamic of the requirements that you established 6, 10, 12 months ago. And that's really the beauty of the Agile approach, to where you can embrace those changes and essentially ingest them into your pipeline and not lose a beat. Continue to move forward.
Okay, so let's jump to the go live day. You said it was an extraordinary day. It wasn't the hair on fire. So when that happened, what made it work so well.
It was a remarkable day. In fact, I paused to reflect that, when you're at a place for an extended period of time, you start to think about what your legacy will be. In other words, when you hand that baton to whoever's going to take over for you, what are you leaving them behind? And my goal and purpose in life is always to leave something better than what how I accepted it. And so this was really a defining moment for Jack Henry. We now have an enterprise level service management platform to build the future of our company from. As I sat there looking around the room, I was overcome by just the sheer amount of talent that was surrounding me. So we brought people in that had been around ServiceNow since the inception of the product. As a matter of fact, our program owner, Renato, has been around ServiceNow since the very early stages. So ServiceNow releases versions of their platform, and they list them as under city names. And they started with A. And Renato, I think, was around either when the second A was released or the first B city was released. So he actually had more knowledge and experience on the platform than some of the people that work at ServiceNow today, which was really a neat thing to say. Hey, we have someone as part of Jack Henry that is really versed and experienced in this platform. Along the same lines, some of the people that I was working with at ServiceNow. So as you might imagine, I've been doing what I do for over 30 years, and I've developed an incredible database of contacts that have helped me to be successful, that have helped me to learn along the way. And some of these people I did business with 10, 15, 20 years ago at different companies, and now they're leading efforts at ServiceNow. So we were able to get our teams together again to do wonderful things together. And it was interesting because I was sitting with one of the sales leaders at ServiceNow, and we were reminiscing about 20 years ago, where we were younger in our careers and we were doing great things, but we still had so much to learn. And now, fast forward 2 decades later, we both have families now. We both have children of our own. Our children are starting to see successes. We're now working at different companies, and yet we're still sharing our life's work and experiences with one another to do great things for other humans. And really, that was a real rewarding thing for me because, oftentimes there's a lot of uncertainty in a project. You're working with people that maybe are learning something for the first time or have never maybe done something similar, but not quite what you're trying to do together. In this case, there was a kind of a blending of all these great things. So I had people that had been with Jack Henry and know Jack Henry and had passion for Jack Henry and passion for our customers, coupled with people that know the platform really well, that are new to Jack Henry, that are bringing their knowledge and experience to us and helping us to drive value. And then, of course, with partners that know the platform very, very well, are helping us to make sure we're making the best decisions, challenging us to think differently. So it was kind of a perfect storm of really good things happening. And that's really why I attribute to our success and why it was so calm the night before. There was an enormous sense of planning, enormous sense of commitment, enormous sense of collaboration. I'll share another concept that drives Jack Henry. And we refer to it as the 3 C's and a T. And we expect that every single person at Jack Henry aspires and embodies these 3 C's and a T, but we also expect that our third parties and partners do as well. And so I'll start with the T, transparency. We strive to have transparent and real conversation and dialogue, even if it's uncomfortable. The next group of C's, if you will, is communication. So it's okay to over communicate, but communicate, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's hard, even if you disagree, just do so in a tactful and respectful way. The next C is collaboration. So work together across the aisle. I think in retrospect, when I consider all that we went through as a society, as a company, as humans with the pandemic, that taught us to communicate and collaborate differently than we ever have. And look at us today. We're using technology to communicate and collaborate on a podcast. And ordinarily, we would have done that in person. But the pandemic challenged us to do something differently. And so that's where collaboration really rose high for us at Jack Henry. And then the last one is consistency. All of that comes together, and people expect you to deliver consistently. And if you're not delivering consistently, then they lose confidence in you. And so we did not want to take our eye off the ball, so to speak. We wanted to ensure that our customers, our communities, our associate base knew that we would be consistent and strive for consistency along the way.
And so, that day comes. Because of the communication and the collaboration and the transparency, you were able to deliver consistency. So what have the positive outcomes been with, this new implementation? How is it running? Have there been any challenges also with now that it's been in live for almost 2 months now? Over 2 months?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first, there are fewer things in life that are more gratifying than success. And so you see the fruits of your labor, all the hard work, the long hours, the nights, the weekends, the holidays, all the stressful times where you were behind the eight ball on a deliverable, but you persevered, you worked through it. Those things were really important for us, and it really made it all worth its while at the end of the day. The other thing that was really important, and I talked about this being one of those legacy items for us at Jack Henry, to have a legitimate enterprise service management platform that we could scale to support the growth of Jack Henry is critically important. We had talked about it for years. I have people on our service management team that have been with Jack Henry for over 10 years. They told me, they came to me privately and thanked me and said, Rob, we dreamed about this platform for years. We never thought we'd get it. We hoped we'd get it, but we got it. And thank you so much. And I played a small role in this. It's you guys and gals that made this happen for us. You had passion, you had vision, you showed courage, and you showed commitment. I just took that and evangelized it and influenced people to see why we needed to do this. And so now the way it's manifested itself is it's helping us to be more prepared to manage the many assets that we manage, to drive consistency with the delivery of these products and platforms to our customers and to the communities we serve. But it also gives us that flexibility and agility to be able to quickly see what our assets we have that are over here that maybe are under allocated and shuffle them to other parts of the company where we're over allocated.
And so probably the answer is a yes, but would you say then that this project achieved the goals that you're hoping to achieve when you started? Or were there some goals that happened that you didn't expect and some goals that you want to achieve that didn't happen?
Yeah, so I did expect success, but I always expect success. Did I expect a mishap along the way or a misstep? Sure, of course. I believe passionately in failing early and learning from failures, and then growing from the failures and leaving them in the past, not harboring thoughts or feelings about them. But you have to internalize them and rationalize them. Some surprises along the way is we discovered there were people with deeply buried in our organization with knowledge, skills, and passion, but they weren't able to showcase those passions. And we were able to put them in a position to where they could. So for instance, people that are driving our daily change function, which is now referred to as change enablement, back when change management began to get its footing in the industry, it was referred to as change management. Now, as I alluded to, it's change enablement. The people that are driving that change enablement function for us and evangelizing it to our customers are really passionate about it, really knowledgeable about it. They went out and got certifications and credentials that augmented their knowledge and experience. As you know, Jethro, it's one thing to get certified in something. It's another to practice what you do. And so that's really where the rubber meets the road is they're learning and evolving and taking the knowledge from the certification program and applying it to real life.
Is there anything you wish you would have known beginning the project that you know now?
I'm sure there is, but here's the reality. I don't spend much time on that. Oftentimes the older we get, the more experience we get, and we say to ourselves, I've said it to myself, certainly, gosh, I wish I would have known that what I know today 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The reality is you can't go backwards. You got to go forwards. So here's the way I look at it. I keep perspective. Thank goodness I know what I know today so that I can apply it to tomorrow. I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to learn something new. And that's really a key. You have to continue to move forward and you have to keep learning. The learning process doesn't end. Now, I know some folks feel that it slows down and maybe they want it to end, but the reality is the world around us is changing and evolving rapidly, and we have to change and evolve with it. And that the way you do so is through learning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talked about Agile a lot. Are there any other tools or strategies that you use that you would strongly recommend people try to implement in their companies and projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you embrace an agile mindset, and more importantly, as you continue on your journey, I would strongly recommend what's called safe agile training, which basically allows you to take agile and scale it across larger organizations. So all of us at Jack Henry, from my level downwards, are learning safe agile. We have safe agile practitioners that are helping to teach us new things. So even a person that's been doing what I do for 30 years is still learning new things.
Yeah.
I would also strongly encourage an investment in what's called FinOps. So most of the technologies, platforms that we're consuming and building from are delivered from a cloud, a public cloud at that. And so having an understanding for how the cost models and structures are in public clouds versus a traditional hosted model is important. And FinOps and learning FinOps, what that does is it brings technologists and financial analysts together. So that way you're speaking a common language, you have a common approach to how you're establishing cost structures, how you're pricing products and platforms. So those would be the areas that I would encourage every company to invest in.
Do you have any ongoing projects, upcoming projects, and how are you feeling about those? Same sort of sentiment? What kind of goals are you trying to accomplish with them?
So I would submit to you, Jethro, you always have on upcoming projects. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. And just when, and that's not to say I haven't thought about destinations. It's kind of like a train. Being on a train, there's certain stops along the way, and some of those stops you get out and look around, and others maybe aren't as interesting. So you just stay on the train and let it until it departs that station. We have identified a small number of what we call strategic imperatives. And in my mind, it can be no more than 5. And that's really to allow for focus and execution. So we are in a multi-year effort to supporting those 5 strategic imperatives that I articulated and evangelized about a year and a half ago. So we're now in the second year of some of those efforts. We're going to continue to release feature and functionality. We're going to continue to mature those platforms. So the service management platform, for example, it's now entering into phase 2. And then next year it will enter into phase 3. We have some really exciting things going on with Google Cloud, for example. And so we're in the midst of evangelizing all of that we're doing with our tech modernization strategy. And we're excited to do it with what we consider to be a tremendous partner in Google. And then there's some other things along the way that are focused on enterprise resiliency. So in this world that is really filled with change and disruption, people appreciate and value stability. And so we're laser focused at Jack Henry on making sure that we are that stable place to be in times of uncertainty.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask a really uncertain question. 5 years from now, what are you doing? How have things changed? What do you envision then?
Yeah, that's a long way away.
Yeah.
I'll answer it this way. I'm at a point in my career where in 5 years, I will probably be seriously contemplating handing the baton off to the next generation of leader, and knowing that I left them an environment that was better than the one I accepted, and knowing that they're going to take the environment and better it in ways that I was unable to or just didn't have the time to. So my time at that point will be focused on investing in my people, developing my people, because they're the future of Jack Henry. And that's kind of the evolution of life. You as a kid growing up, you're hungry, you're learning, you're ready to go and make a difference in the world. And your parents are trying to guide you and direct you, and your mentors and your teachers are trying to do the same. And finally you get your opportunity and you have some successes, you have some setbacks, but you learn from the setbacks. And then invariably, then you you become a grandparent, if you will, and your children now are taking over where you were. And so there's this evolution where your role changes and shifts along the way. So that's where I see myself. I mean, I'm still hungry and passionate. I'm still wanting to learn every day. I'm still coming to work every day to make Jack Henry a better place. I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm doing the right thing, and I'm having fun.
And having fun.
But I recognize that in 5 years, that'll probably be coming towards the end of that road on my journey.
And we're approaching the end of this podcast. So are there any final thoughts you want to share that you didn't get to during the course of this interview?
Yeah, just a couple things that I've learned in life. And these are random, so bear with me. One is to maintain some level of perspective. So when you're going through some hard times, recognize that it's probably not as bad as you think it is. But also when you're going through some good times, recognize it's probably not as good as you think it is. There's something that someone taught me, and it was learned from a famous political leader. And that was, when you're going through hell, just keep going. So you just got to have courage and commitment and just keep going, work hard. Again, taking a learned lesson from a high profile person. This one came from Vince Lombardi. And I evangelize this to my people. I'm a big sports fan. So Vince Lombardi is widely known as one of the most successful head coaches in NFL history. And he would, before his team would take the field every Sunday, he would tell them that every week we take the field in search of perfection. We know we're not likely to find it, but we will find excellence along the way. And that's good. And so I take the field every day looking for perfection, knowing that I'm likely not going to find it, but I'll accept excellence. And so sometimes my people have to remind me that I push myself hard and I push them hard, but it's all in the spirit of us doing things together.
Absolutely.
So those are the things that stand out to me. And then I guess the last thing, and I alluded to this earlier, never stop learning. I'm still learning today. I'm learning from my children. My daughter's 25. She's a successful professional in her realm. She works in healthcare. There are fewer things in life that bring more pride to a father than seeing their children successful. In the same way, there are fewer things in life that are more prideful to a leader, a C-level leader at that, than seeing their people, their disciples, learning and growing and having success. There isn't a day that goes by that someone sends me a note on LinkedIn, or I send them a note. I see that they were promoted to their first C-level job, and I say, hey, I'm so proud of you. I knew you would get there. They say to me, hey, Rob, thanks for the investment you made in me. I wouldn't be here without you. And while I question whether that's really the case or not, the reality is the fact that we contributed to each other's successes in life really is rewarding and gratifying.
That's really awesome. I just wanted to say this was an absolutely incredible conversation. I just want to thank you so much for your time, for your expertise, your wisdom. Just an incredible conversation. I'm very grateful.
Well, it was wonderful to be with you and meet you and talk to you. Our paths are now forever connected. And so what we do with that is up to us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for your time, and take care.
Yeah, you too.
vCom Solutions is here to help make your IT projects and day-to-day operations as easy and efficient as possible. If you'd like to see how vCom can help your organization save time and money, request a demo at vcomsolutions.com/demo. Do you work in IT? Be a guest on Braindrop. Go to vcomsolutions.com/Braindrop guest to sign up. Thanks again for dropping in. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can find us on social media at vCom Solutions. Until next time.